This time, they'll be on the second side. Obey start things off, saying no to Delo's Raven.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Poppies prioritized the Kukulkan very early in this draft, considering that last game, Obey Line's last pick, the Kukulkan. They had that flex between the Kamazots and the Kukulkan, and it worked out very well for them.
So, standard Terror ban here coming out from Poppies. We saw it from them in game number 1, and we'll likely see it in whatever games they play during the regular season. Obey, thinking about their second ban just a little bit, and it'll be the Scotty, character that Warchi plays very well.
It seems that Ataraxia would just rather not deal with this goddess himself. He doesn't want to play because his god pool is very unique at times. You know, he's been playing the Jingwei before it was very popularized, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it before the secondary ban phase.
Also the Chiron that he's a little bit known for. So yeah, oddball picks on Obey in general. The Raijins, the Chirons, the everything else's. So first pick for them, I expect will probably be a little bit more standard, and it will be the Hell who escapes the ban phase. And this character has been very strong. Now here's the question. Does it wind up in Pretty Prime or Emilzy's hands?
I mean, I guess we'll find out once the game starts. But last game, it was a Hell and an Odin ban. Both are available. Both instantly picked. Odin counters Hell very easily. No healing under that cage, locking her in place. She has no escape mechanics. And it's going to be very important for Obey Alliance to get an early Phantom.
Hell will be the selection for, well, I guess the solo lane is still open. But Emilzy is very proud of his Hell support. And he's been not exactly quiet about it. So I think we're likely to see Hell in the hands of Emilzy. Raijin one more time for Pretty Prime next to Ho Yi. And then the Kamazots for Delo. I like this better than the Raven. I think that Kamazots is a hard carry. And Delo is a guy that can absolutely win you the game almost by himself, even at this level of play, and giving him that sort of tool, very strong.
He's also taking a shot at Captain Twig, eliminating one of his options to dive towers aggressively.
That said, I'm never concerned about Captain Twig diving towers. He's got the Osiris jungle. He's got the Arlong Shen jungle. This guy, Captain Twig, came in as Sobek is selected here for the Poppies as a player known for his duel background. He was a mid lane player and one of the best duel players in the world. And really what I bring home here is the fact that this guy's god pool can be anything he wants. So I'm not really concerned about Kamazots being taken away. Final bans here. There's the Kukulkan and the Cabrakan and the Giannis and the Medusa banned by Obey.
Cabrakan ban. We haven't seen a Cabrakan ban in forever. That's definitely taking a shot at Xaylia. He's been known to run that. But that was during a time when Purple Buff or Purple Pot at level 1 was a thing. So you run that on Cabrakan at level 1 and you just tremor and get a first blood at level 2 for free.
I think Xaylia still runs it without the Purple Pot. Just Xaylia things. And again, Serket and Osiris. Now, I think last time I was baited a little bit. I said maybe we'll see the assassin in the solo lane. And again, Captain Twig known for his Osiris jungle, but Captain Twig also known for his ability to run the game on a Serket. I like Kukulkan, but Kukulkan into a Serket seems a little questionable.
It's very risky, obviously, but you can also time your ultimate to hit the Serket as she jumps off of you anyway, so it's not a bad idea to just allow yourself to get hit by that last breath and then look to just burst her down.
We'll see if that's the way this one's going to go. Obey Alliance took game number 1. The Poppies trying to fight back into this one here. And again, we get to see the Raijin. Pretty Prime by his lonesome, trying to bring this character back into the quote-unquote meta. Although I have to give a shout, a couple of other European streamers have been bringing out the Raijin. I think that the idea that he's the worst character in the game is objectively not true, and I think that players are starting to discover that.
The level 2 clear is actually insane. You drop your 2 on the whole wave, and then you can't even come close to the wave because if you're relatively close, the chain lightning bounce effect is going to clip off of the minions onto the gods.
Mr. Nazer also has safe clear, however. Perhaps the safest clear in the game. I think Kukulkan and Ra kind of argue over that in the back room, but Kukulkan, NATO and run. NATO and run. We'll see you later.
And Ra is probably the safest god in the game, and then with Kukulkan, he doesn't have that sort of heal, but he's just a kill or be killed almost. If you're going to be willing to risk diving with Kukulkan, you better prepare for those Spirit of the 9 Winds.
You know, it's interesting here. I love both of these mages, and I think that for a long time, Smite's pickable god pool, let's say, the playables in this game. Poppy's looking for the invade here, hold that thought. Dalo and Creed looking to steal away the speed buff, and Captain Twig just going to let it go. No reason to fight over this one, he says.
Stripped away the 2 little speed ogre minions, but not committing to the full one because there was 2 Poppies members from mid making the rotation. It was another 4-man collapse from Poppies. They definitely calculated out that this blue and speed buff double combination invade has been working for them out in the past, at least in scrims potentially, and they're bringing it out here in full force in the SPL.
Zarya has to pop the sprint to get away from the slow, and that'll save his life for the moment. Yeah, this is the second time that the Poppies have put 4 players on the right side, and it does give them this early game power. Last time they did lose that, and Obey Alliance kind of just said, all right, man, if you're going to do it again, we still were able to win the game despite you getting a nice, 1K lead. I think very important for Obey last time was that they were able to come back from it. Twig getting dangerous
invaded,
here.
Counter invade rather, onto the Poppies, taking his speed buff rightfully so, and now he's going to be able to get some experience in these oracles, and that's the beauty of Circuit, the double abilities of escape between your 1 and your 3.
That's also the beauty of communication, right? I mean, Obey Alliance realized Zelia's making this call. They're still in my jungle. There are still 4 people here. Twig, you do something.
Also, Twig used his blink. I think that Twig might have went into the speed buff, blinking into the speed, just to be able to invade, use the zigzag, get the damage off, and get his own buff. This now doesn't put Captain Twig behind, staying at the same pace of Dalo.
Yeah, it's a really nice, aggressive play. And again, a confidence play as well. Warchi turned it around, looking for the 1v2 again. He knows
just
he's got
bait.
Draco.
That's a pure bait. Warchi at half health running into 2 full members out of Obey Alliance. They're probably thinking to themselves like, all right, he's either a little lit right now, or this is an obvious bait.
I mean, we talk about reading players, right? You coming at me half HP by yourself, that's green eggs and ham. I know that there's a guy in the jungle, whether it's support or jungle, I don't really care. We don't want to take this fight this early as a health support, so that's something absolutely that Obey Alliance were aware of.
And because Obey Alliance have a health or a Milzy, Ataraxia doesn't have to go into Devourer Gauntlets here. He can be pure ability-based, finish off the Transcendence after boots, and look to make a lot of these efficient trades against Warchi before his Devo Gauntlets gets complete.
Yeah, we were mentioning that before. Medusa, one of the classic examples of an ability-based hunter. You would almost expect her to still go Transcendence even with the changes to some of these basic attack items. But of course, Ataraxia doing what he pleases. Even with the Hell, I'm not sure if we don't see the Devo gloves, but the Transcendence does bring a lot of damage when it comes to Ricochet. And of course, the ultimate with respects to Hoyu's damage.
Absolutely. It's not just the Ricochet, it's also the 7 Suns that you'll really be looking to drop down here into these big team fights. There's just a big team fight presence from all of Obey Alliance between Ataraxia, Pretty Prime, and Emilzy.
One thing that we haven't mentioned that I think is very important is the location of this Camazot's Odin. Last game we saw the Assassin Warrior combo, and it went in their quote-unquote traditional roles. The Warrior, the solo lane, and the Assassin in the jungle. Now we see the Camazot solo, which is absolutely I wouldn't say a standard pick, but it's not that spicy. He's definitely a capable solo laner, but I think it's more important so that the Odin finds his way in the jungle.
You're also looking to just stay in the lane as long as possible to sustain out of a Camazotz between your Death's Toll, jumping on minions with your 3rd ability, and then if somebody dies, whether it's your team or the opponent, you're going to be getting both health and mana back just by standing on those pools.
Even if you die, when you come back to the lane, you kind of have a handicap, right? Because you can eat your own stuff. But here, for me, it's all about Dalo. On the Odin, he's going to be rotating the map earlier than Creed, obviously. He's a jungler. His whole job is to rotate the map. And since Odin is there directly to counteract the Hell, just how quickly the Poppies locked in Odin to deal with the Hell, his job is to just, whenever Hell becomes relevant in these team fights, jump and cage.
With that said, he hasn't been making his rotations in the left side, focusing out Emilzy. There is no phantom for Obey Alliance to get out of the cage. If Emilzy gets trapped in with Dalo, there could be a lot of follow-up damage before Emilzy gets any of these tanky items online.
Yeah, I'd like to see some early play, but I think it's dealing with Hell is an interesting thing because you kind of have to always deal with her. If you put her down early, She's still going to be powerful later on. So camping Hell is a lot different than camping a Hebo or an Ao Kuang. You're going to want to do it in the mid game. You're going to want to do it in the late game. So I'm not really too concerned about Dalo not handling it.
However, the beauty of camping a Hell in the dual lane is that the gold here just magically opens up.
That's fair.
You can find multiple picks. That could allow Poppies to snowball a little bit further, and Obey Alliance have gotten a slight 500 gold lead at the 6-minute mark here, despite losing their first speed buff. Twig, unfortunately, didn't have the range that he expected with that madness.
Again, just touching on the Hell one more time. Love the itemization choice coming out from Emil Z. You got your cooldown boots and your mana, which is going to allow him to spam a little bit more. But then going into another starter item, you get 10% cooldown reduction for 800 gold plus mana sustain on the hourglass. You need, as a support, you need Watcher's Gift. There's no reason not to go it. But that Sands of Time is so strong.
Sands of Time is so impactful on Hell, probably more than any other mage because of how spammy she really is. She can stay with 50 or less mana and then just get back every ability available shortly after, because the more mana you're missing, the more MP5 you're about to receive.
Ataraxia now looking for the stun. Finds it on the Warchi. But that's all he'll look for. Kogakan missing, but Sobek is in the middle lane, so Ataraxia is allowed to push up this far. Again, communication is what allows our players to be so aggressive.
Elemental is so important to be able to control, making sure that neither soul laner really gets too far above the other. This is why some of these junglers have elected to kind of ignore the dual lane, just to be able to get some of these elementals in their favor.
So the Poppies here. No early first blood this time around. Game number 1, they really bit down pretty prime, and that allowed them to really take care of things. Now it's Captain Twig looking for the first blood. He'll have to jump away, however, as the rest of the Poppies show up.
4 members spotted from Poppies, and that's going to dictate these 2 Obey members to back off, allowing Obey to play aggressive in the dual lane, bullying Warchi out of the purple buff. Emilzy showing why Hell support is just so strong.
Well, it's funny because when people think Hell support, they think of all the heals and this, that, and the third. And while Emilzy is certainly bringing the heals, more so in this lane, anecdotally, I'm waiting for the graph to prove me wrong, he's doing a ton of damage. He's really pushing these players out by his lonesome. There he is, just paired up with his hunter. That's not always what you expect to see out of non-ARI supports.
Whenever you max out your third ability as a Hell, you're going to be healing a lot and dealing a lot of damage. You do have to get a little bit closer to the action than you might want, but Poppies haven't been punishing Emilzy for this aggression at all.
That's what I wanted to see, was Hells these days in the mid lane, where you, I would say normally see her really go for that first ability. Big damage on both magic missiles. Don't forget, you're also dealing damage with your heal stance one if you're not looking to heal up your teammate. And we saw Emilzy do it a couple of times before, where he unleashes the dark stance, couple of basics, and then unleashes the light stance. And you're bringing a player down to 50% as a support. That's kind of dangerous and kind of gnarly to deal with.
And something he's been doing very often this game has been just spamming his third ability for the extra movement speed in the light stance to allow himself and his teammates just to be able to rotate a little bit faster than their opposition. Poppies, at least up for Warchi, couldn't really keep up, and he's been conceding a couple of purple buffs. And that's why we're seeing this 2-level disadvantage here between Emilzy and Draco Marino.
And before last game, I had mentioned that, well, you know, support level lead, not so much to talk about.
But a Hell.
A Hell's level lead, very, very different than a Guardian.
It's just making its impact already felt, and it's not even 10 minutes into the game. Once Hell gets her second relic available, another defensive option, probably going to go for that Jade Emperor's Crown to limit some of that physical damage from Kreen and Dalo. It's going to be very difficult to shut her down.
Solo lane matchup going as expected, I think. Neither the Camazotz nor the Osiris is going to really get ahead of either player. But as I said, the Camazotz is, I wouldn't say standard, but just barely below it. Why don't you break this matchup a little bit for us?
It's just basically a slugfest between the Osiris and Camazotz. Not too much action will be dealt here until these blue and speed buffs are spawning back up. Zayla's getting poked out a little bit more because obviously Camazotz has those better sustain options, and it's up to the rotation of Captain Twig to make sure that Creed doesn't get too much of an advantage. Once Camazotz gets these levels, maxes out his first and second ability, can easily poke out Osiris.
That bait was very nice. The ultimate just used to get away, so a nice ult for nothing.
And that's the problem with Camazotz that doesn't have the purification beads. You drop the tether that Xaylia did there, you're almost guaranteeing a stun because that jump from Camazotz is such a short distance. It's not necessarily going to always break the link, especially if you got previously slowed by the Osiris 1-2 combo.
Big rotation by the Poppies as Obey Alliance are pushed up in the right side solo lane. Slow on to Captain Twig, but he'll avoid the tornado. And he'll avoid the ultimate as well with a nice zigzag underneath his own tower. Poppies,
Pretty Prime
I
cutting
like
him
that
off. Pretty Prime is cutting him off. The ultimate is down from Nazer, but not from Pretty Prime. The first blood, 11 minutes into the game. Mage soloing the enemy mage. When's the last time we saw that?
I love that. The caught in the rotation, just, what am I going to do? Pretty Prime right there. It looked like he used the taunt to secure the rest of the hits, which were all pure damage as part of that ultimate. Raijin, again, it's been a minute, so just a refresher. He's got 3 choices. Full damage, or giving up some of that damage for either a taunt, bringing the enemy towards him, or a fear, pushing him away.
Very easy kill, too, because there was no fear of the ultimate from Nazer. Both relics were available from Pretty Prime. That he was level 12 during that encounter. He had the purification and the Aegis available, and only sitting level 11 for Mr. Nazer. He rushed that Book of Thoth, which is why we didn't see too much action from Poppies with Nazer to start things off.
And just going the same build that we saw last time, the Doom Orb. Again, 140 power this early on one item is very scary, paired up this time with the penetration boots on Raijin.
And going for a different route, Mr. Nazer, last game as a Giannis, went for pen boots. This time going for Shoes of Focus for the mana more than the cooldown. Cooldown helps a little bit as well for a Kukulkan, but you're really looking to stack the mana just to augment that passive, get some more magical power. And on top of this, it looks like he's going to be rushing that Hide of Urchin.
But this is going to leave him without penetration for a long time, Toli. Mr. Nazer gets grabbed by the ultimate, drops one himself, but the dot plus Xaylia, enough to bring down the Wiggle Worm. Mr. Nazer goes down for the second time in just as many minutes.
And despite taking all that damage from Twig, Emilzy is here, already topping Twig off to almost full health. Gold Fury sitting at about half health. Poppies need to respond.
Captain Twig trying to zone out Draco Marino. Look at that chunk from Pretty Prime, taking the take so back from 100 to 50%. Obey Alliance peel off the objective and look directly to fight the enemy. One more time, re-engaging on Gold Fury.
Xaylia zoning out Ward. She's sitting at about almost half health. Level 13 Osiris not allowing Poppies to breathe at all. Gold Fury sitting at less than half health. Creed up in the sky, looking to try to reset the gold.
With Creed taken to the sky, very important that Obey Alliance leash that. And again, looking towards the Poppies, starting the fight is going to be Pretty Prime, banging on those drums and banging on Delo's head. Emilzy with the last hit, big assist coming out by the Raijin. Chasing further at Xaylia, 1 versus 2, taking down the Sobek.
Xaylia calculating his damage, but not done yet with Mr. Nazer. 3 dead members from Poppies. Gold Fury was secured by Obey 15 seconds ago, and that's going to be a nice, comfortable 4,500 gold lead.
Eaten. That's what Obey Alliance is doing right there. Just eating. Using their composition to exactly what they need to do. Pretty Prime dealing out a ton of damage because of his build. Early pen, early power, and Emilzy making sure that everybody stays up and healthy to continue the engagement.
Finishing off the Lotus Crown. I thought it was going to be Jade Emperor's Crown to start things off, but the Lotus Crown giving his team the protections that they really need off of every single heal. And considering that third ability, Light Stance heal, now is a heal over time instead of that burst heal, you're really going to be getting refreshed ticks now from those 20 protections. So that 5-second duration from the Lotus Crown is actually going to last about 10 to 11 seconds instead.
He's also dealing a ton of damage. Now it's kind of finally looked a little bit different where he's, you know, not #1 on his team, but he's still ahead of his Hunter. The healing is still wonderful, 7,600. I mean, he protects.
And he also attacks. His heal is actually stronger than any other god's damage currently in this game.
And that's what makes Hel such a powerful character, Toli, is that players just think of her as the heal bot, but she's dealing just as much damage overall as that Raijin is.
I wouldn't be surprised if the current SPL SMITE meta transforms into more healer supports. With Hel being reintroduced into the current kit, we might see some Changas and Aphrodites in the near future.
Here's the thing for me, though. You always have to think about the equation, balancing the equation that is team team composition. With Emilzy on this Hell support, what do you lose? Initiation. So, Obey Alliance pick up Captain Twig and Pretty Prime, both characters that can taunt players in, that have fantastic long-range initiation. So while you give up that Sobek pluck, that Blink Geb, even the Blink Hammer that we saw, you get the initiation elsewhere. As long as you're able to do that, I think we might be able to see more mages.
Another mage support, though, that does have initiation is the Chang'e. She has the anti-healing from her third ability, and then she has that impressive Waxing Moon ability that if you hit multiple targets are looking for a very long stun.
Nice stun out of Ataraxia, but he's flanked by the Crocodile Man. Nice knock up the jump over the pluck. Very important play from Ataraxia. If he gets thrown back into the lane there, even with Captain Twig's rotation, he might be in big boy trouble. Aegis a little bit early here, but he won't take enough damage from the dot. But with Prime here, the Raiju, the bang, and he's gone.
Quick Hulk and ultimate from Mr. Nazer, not on the mark. Twig is not done with Draco Marino quite yet. Zalia over the top, diving the tier 2 tower. Captain Twig wants to confirm this kill. Tornado is going to clip Twig, but not until the kill is confirmed.
Running away with this one is Obey Alliance, not even needing the heals from the Hell. That was a fun engagement for Obey because they're fighting up the left side lane, right? And then all of a sudden you see the result of the fight that was going on in the jungle. You just see Kukulkan Aegis being chased by an Osiris.
Emilzy is soloing Creed right now. There's no magical defense from Creed quite yet at this stage of the game, and because Emilzy has a good amount of cooldown here, he's just able to spam these abilities. He has the protections, and he's able to bully Creed out.
If we could take a closer look at Lotus Crown real quick, I want to bring up another point about this Hell support. It has 30 magical power on it as well. So this is a defensive item. He's building this because of the ability to give the protections, etc. to his team, 20 magical protections. But the power of the MP5, it allows him to be hybrid. He's still offensive. First item, the starter item, and then the Lotus Crown. He's a healer, but he's also offensive. We made a joke before, but yeah, he's doing just as much damage as he is healing and protecting his team.
Hell support is not as viable if you don't have the MP5. Lotus Crown, Genji's Guard, Santa Time, not to mention once you're maxing out that ult or the fourth ability from the Hell, you're getting more of that MP5 during the light stand, and it just seems that the mana pool is endless for Emilzy.
And it takes a whole lot of skill as well and team coordination. The Raijin takes kill number 8